making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly.
And what did he do to Sodom and Gomorrah? He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Rained down fire. Killed everybody except Lot and his 2 daughters. His wife was on the way, but she looked back, turned to a pillar of salt. If he would do that to them, he said that's an example. What they were doing, they got so degenerate, it brought about their destruction. People need to realize what's going on here. As you sit down and you are, when I say you, I'm talking about as a society, are indifferent to sin, just allowing it, even celebrating. It's people in a lot of these politicians don't believe this mess, but they're pushing it for a vote. A lot of these companies don't believe this mess. They're pushing it for other reasons. ESG scores. What's the ESG score? Environmental, social, governance. These are scores that will determine how they're going to get a loan. Why is that important? Because these companies that you think are worth millions or billions of dollars are in the red. So to get them over the hump, to make the payments that they have to make, what'll happen? They can go to these entities and get money if they have a high enough score. Or Vanguard and BlackRock that control much of their shares. These are trillion-dollar companies. They can say, hey, you have to meet these requirements. And so now they are controlling. That's why Disney's showing all this gay stuff. That's why Bud Light, you talk about Bud Light, but Bubba drink Bud Light. Bubba don't know nothing about this transvestite. He drink Bud Light and they pouring it out. Well, why would you go against your customers? Because of your ESG score. Because you need money that's not even coming from the customer. And you messed around and did that, and now people trying to revolt. I never drink Budweiser. That was the first beer I ever drank. My grandfather, he sipped this. Gave me a little Budweiser. I was an adult in college. They had all these beers. Where the Budweiser at? I never drink Budweiser. Why Adidas got men in bikinis? ESG scores. Why Disney doing what they doing? ESG score. Why you can't even take your kids to the Marvel movies or any of these movies? ESG scores. And these movies are literally losing money. They don't care about you, though. They want the ESG score so they can get the money. Now, go above that. International global entities like the UN and the World Economic Forum are pushing this. Why are they pushing this? You think an electric vehicle is for the environment? You think they care about you? You think they care about social justice? You think they care about homosexuality? No, you know what they've done? They have in implementing all this, and everywhere you go, on your job, everywhere you go, they are controlling this. The EU, they just passed some stuff to where they got it to where if you in this company, you got to meet these ESG scores. And not just your company, but everybody that is associated with your company. So if you're an automotive, you make cars, your company might get parts from someplace else. They got to meet the ESG scores. That is a social credit score that they've imposed on everybody. It's going to be like China. You know, if you don't meet a certain score in China, you lose benefits. You might lose your life. That's what's coming to the West. As a matter of fact, it's already here. Why are you on TikTok? But let's read. Let's go to let's go to this next slide. The homosexual agenda. All these years they said you was a bigot and there was no agenda. Clearly there was an agenda. The agenda was laid out in the 70s. I wrote this book, Sex, Marriage, and the Bible. What the Bible says about marriage, sex, sexuality, and gender. It is, I don't want to call it blacklisted on Amazon. But I had brothers say, I pay for the book. They won't send it. Yeah, I know, because that happened to me. But I write in this book about the homosexual agenda and the demands that they had in the 70s. And some of those demands, they basically met all of them. And when I say demands, they wanted them to repeal all laws saying that homosexuality was illegal. And you know what else they wanted to repeal? All laws governing the age of sexual consent. In other words, when you look at that flag and you look at some of them letters, you lost track. You know what LGBTQ mean, you don't know nothing else. They got all kind of letters and numbers after that. What are they trying to do? As they were saying, they hear they queer and they want your children. That's the end of homosexuality. Greco-Roman culture was pedophilic. That's what they want now, pedophilia. That's why they're pushing it in the schools now. That's why they're pushing it in your cartoons now. That's why you watch Arthur and the teacher getting married to a male. That's all by design. Let's go to the slide. Okay, so now this is in the school in Austin. People running from California because California is a dumpster fire. California is a horrible state. Policies trash. People leaving it like rats leaving a sinking ship, and they're going to Texas. Texas have a somewhat vibrant economy. But when they go to Texas, what do? They bring the same mindset into Texas. So when you go to Austin, Texas, you think you in California. This is in a school in Austin. This is what they're doing in schools. Not just in Austin. Hit this one over here on the left. There you go. Fist for gay pride. This the kids coming into school, holding up rainbow banners, teachers waving flags. They got all kind of LGBTQ decorations. What they proud of for? But they teaching the kids, and kids don't know any better. Your little brother lost. That's what they're doing in the schools. Let's go to the next slide. Now, in some schools, I saw one school, the kids led a counter revolt. They tried to have a gay parade. They tore down all the decorations. The kids did it. This is in Los Angeles. They got a school board meeting. They fighting. Why they fighting? Because they pushing this stuff on the kids. Let's go to this one. Fair use, fair use, fair use. So they got the humbugging. That's good. It's really symbolic of what's going on in this country. This is a divided country. It used to be just divided on racial lines, but it's divided on cultural lines. You go to one state and you cross the border, it's like you're in an entirely different country. California is an entirely different country. New York, particularly New York City, is that's a different universe with some of the policies that they're putting forth. Go to San Francisco. Walk around. First of all, you're gonna walk in some human feces. That's probably what's gonna happen. You're gonna see all these people addicted to drugs, needles everywhere, terrible policy, homosexuality pushed wholesale. This is what this country is falling to. Let's go to the next one. Now I want to play this here. Because he's at a school board, like I said, they want your kids. Now, he a preacher somewhere. I don't know him, don't judge. And it was so vulgar, so illicit that they asked, please don't read it. Let's play this. We only gonna look at a little bit of this. Go ahead, because this is his reaction basically. Fair use.
One concerned pastor tried to read the book at a school board meeting, but officials asked him to stop. Here's what he had to say about that.
If you children be able to check it out of the school system. See, we have perverts that are perverting our kids. And you all sit back, smug in your chairs, and celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion, but you don't want me to read it so you can hear it.
That's good. You can push pause. And that's all over the country, really. That's in the libraries. They want these kids. They're not playing. They'll come up and say, oh, it ain't that big a deal. You sitting there now, you're in a twilight zone. You sitting up there watching this man that's cross-dressing, and he got a little kid on his lap. Or he talking in front of some little kid talking about story time. And they say nothing to see here. What? The child 5, 6 years old. I saw one little meme. It was a little girl running. And it was a drag queen chasing him, talking about, we want to read to you. She said, not today, Satan. she flying. She like, Let's go to the next one. What's that next one? It's a thing right there. You can just see. Time, they would at least fake it. You know, a bunch of racist, Ku Klux Klan, but they're a Christian organization. You know, God bless America. They used to say, they don't even say that anymore. They used to pray in schools. Now they teaching your kids about homosexuality in these schools. Let's pick it up in Romans 1 and verse 18. Because this isn't new. And this judgment is coming. When you ready to go ahead and read.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness.
Go ahead.
Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them.
God has shown us all something. Go ahead and read.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made.
What was made? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. He shows you he exists through the creation. That's evidence of God. What else has he shown us?
Even his eternal power in God ahead, so that they are without excuse.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. When he said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, we know that was the Father and the Son. That's the Godhead. He said that we don't have an excuse to disobey God. We don't have an excuse to deny his existence. We don't have an excuse not to seek him, because he clearly exists. Let's keep reading.
Because that, when they knew God,
what did this man do?
They glorified him not as God. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened.
They became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Go ahead and read.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. And then what?
And changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like the corruptible man.
God is not in some stock of a tree or in some gold or silver, but man has fashioned a God. You made a God. Why would you make a God? That's asinine. You make an idol because you can attribute whatever qualifications, whatever characteristics, whatever requirements on that deity that you made. Or you can personify natural phenomena. And you see the phenomena that is evident in human beings, in nature, and then give it a name. That's what man has done, and you deny God in doing that. He said, change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Well, what did God do in response to man's disobedience and rebellion?
Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
Go ahead.
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
You don't want to acknowledge God, because if you acknowledge God by default, you have acknowledged that you have to bring your body into subjection. You have to obey him if he exists. So you'd much rather make your own God. This is what atheism is about. This is why all these smart people with all these advanced degrees talking about I'm agnostic. You're an astrophysicist, but you don't know God exists. You're not that bright. No, you're arrogant. You can tell me all these things about the stars, but don't realize that there's one that made the stars. He said, wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Now he gives you up to your carnality. Go ahead and read.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator who is blessed forever.
So
Amen.
you rather worship something that is not God. What did he do?
For this cause God gave them up unto vile affection.
In other words, he allows you to do that. Go ahead. You want to be a homosexual? Go right ahead. Go ahead.
For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Again, lesbianism, nothing but confusion. Go ahead and read.
And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly.
Your mind is bad. And you know, people don't realize that's spiritually. Spiritually, something is wrong. Something's wrong here. Spiritually, something is wrong. He said, likewise also the men. What did God do?
God gave them over to a reprobate mind.
Go right ahead. But you're going to destruction. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are
full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God.
Go ahead.
Despiteful, interparent.
See, judgment is coming at a time to have a parade. What you proud for? You a homosexual, ain't nothing to be proud of. Mine's thinking that. That's like all the thieves having a parade. We here, we thieves, and we coming to steal your wallets. There ain't nothing to celebrate.